With today's guest, I have one of the most refreshing conversations about the pressures of being in the entertainment industry and being a parent. Dunia McNeily is a dear friend and a partner at 3 Arts. Together, we unpack the nitty-gritty of talent management, the realities of being a high-achieving working parent, and the importance of giving yourself grace. Because listen, if you don't ever slow down, your body might just do it for you. So let's get into it. Well, I'm very, very excited to have today's guest on the podcast. She's someone who I've known, honestly, I don't even know how long I've known you. I feel like it's been a very long time.
It's been long.
And
years.
I feel like we've had this friendship, sometimes a little bit closer in moments, sometimes at a distance. And I think like that's one of the beautiful things about modern and friendships of working women and working mothers, right? You can kind of tap in with each other, but then also sometimes you'll go a very long time and not talk. Dunia McNeily, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Yeah. And you and I had the pleasure of having you on the panel that I hosted a little bit back where we really dug into like brands and talent and partnerships and some of that stuff. And we'll get into like a little bit of that today. But I always love to start the podcast with learning about you. You're a partner at 3 Arts, which is a big management company. But how did you get here? What's the Dunia story?
It's such a good question. Where do I start? So I was in college majoring in chemistry because I thought that I wanted to be a dentist.
Oh, okay.
And I was halfway through schooling and I kind of panicked and I was like, I don't want to be a dentist. I don't want to go to dental school. I don't want to keep going forward in science.
Are your family dentists?
No, but my dad was Arabic from Saudi Arabia and Muslim. And so like in that culture, it's very much like, okay, so you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer and that's it. There's no other options. And there's no other, not only are there no other options, there are no other careers that exist. So that was just kind of like what I was going to do.
Sure.
And then I hit a wall. And actually saying this, looking throughout my career, that is kind of how I've always operated. I'll go until I hit a wall and then I'll pivot. So I didn't know what I wanted to be. And I was talking to my dad and he was like, well, what do you enjoy doing? Because he gave me the old cheesy adage, if you do something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yep.
So at the time, I was in college, non-scripted television had just hit, and I'm using like air quotes because The Hills was the show, and like
reality
The Bachelor.
TV
Yeah,
started.
exactly.
Okay, yep.
And I was like, well, when I'm not doing school or going out with my friends, I'm watching this stuff and I really like it. So then I was like, I think I'll pivot to TV. But there wasn't really we didn't have a film school at my college. And so there wasn't really an avenue for me to explore there. And I did communications because I was like, that's safe.
Very broad.
Very broad.
Yes.
I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. So then I graduated college with my communications degree and I packed up my car and I drove out to LA. And I didn't know anyone and I didn't do any internships. I didn't really have any guiding hand at any point. And I, through friends of friends of friends, got my first job as Dana Walden's assistant.
Wow.
And I didn't know what that was. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know what that meant. And as you can imagine, it was a really tough job.
Yeah.
But at the time, she was the chairwoman of 20th Century Fox, who has since elevated to take over Hollywood. And I think she's going to be in a new big role soon. Who knows? But my money's on her.
Yeah.
And I was doing these really silly menial tasks and I was fresh out of college and I actually double majored. I also had a degree in family psychology. And there was a moment where I was like, do I want to become a divorce attorney? I don't know. So whatever. I had the 2 degrees and I thought I was hot shit at 22 years old, new to LA.
Didn't we all? Yeah.
And I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I have 2 degrees. I should be doing something more. I should be getting paid more. I shouldn't be like returning clothes to Chanel and picking up salads for lunch because I truly didn't understand my job and what that job could have led to. So I ended up leaving thinking I don't want to work in Hollywood. Took the LSAT and then a very close friend of mine at the time, who I think you're friends with too, Jad Daye.
Yeah.
At the time, he was an assistant at WME and he was like, I know you're applying to law school and you're in the middle of the application process and some are in whatever, but I really think that you should come work at WME. You would totally fit in the culture. I think you'd be great at it. I think you would like it. And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm going to go be a lawyer.
Yep.
And I didn't really like my experience in Hollywood, and because I wasn't exposed to anything really. Like, I was exposed to some stuff as a second assistant to the chairwoman of a studio, which, by the way, like, I never really was super passionate about scripted television. So it didn't scratch an itch for me that I was looking for.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jad agented me as an assistant and pulled me into WME to go do an interview. In my interview with HR, she was like, you know, there's an agent here who's interviewed everyone in the mailroom, hasn't hired anyone. You should go interview for him. He's not going to hire you, but it's good practice to interview with an agent. I was like, great. So I went upstairs, interviewed with this agent on the spot, and he was like, great, when can you start? And I was like, now.
Wow.
So I skipped the mailroom and I worked for him. Again, it was in scripted television, but it's because I worked for Dana. So he was like, great, I'll take this one.
Yeah.
And then I worked with him for a while, and I always had my eyes on the non-scripted television prize. And so I ended up transitioning after being with that agent and that boss for a year and a half or so to work in the non-scripted department at WME. Ultimately, I looked around and I knew that I wanted to be a mom. And at the time, this is like old school. This is like 2009, maybe at the time, where Hollywood still didn't go through the evolution of the Me Too or female empowerment or whatever. Yeah. And there were very few female agents. And the ones that were there, a lot of them didn't have families. And the very few subset that did barely saw their kids and their husbands and their families. And I was like, you know what? This isn't really the life that I want. And that's what ended up propelling me to move on. And then I went and I worked at the network. I worked at E for a while, which was great. And I was promoted to be an executive there. And I got a lot of hands-on network experience and what buyers look for, which has really served me well in my current role. Yeah. But then as the network exec, so much of my job was giving notes back to production companies and the principals of production companies who went to film school. And I didn't know what it meant, what my notes meant on the back end, as far as like how many hours in the edit, how many dollars in the edit, like, is this really a necessary note? I know that I'm noting it to fit within the E brand, but is it really necessary based off what the costs are going to be to our partners? Yeah. So I knew that I had to go get that education, and I left E with the intention of always coming back to be a network executive. And I was so fortunate to go work at a blue chip production company, Magical Elves, and I loved the people there so much, but I did not love the job because I am very math and science and business focused and biz dev focused. And you have to be really creative to be, like, you have to be solely creative to be on the development side. Yeah. And I had partners there that had that, and I didn't. And I knew that I was good enough at the job to keep going and make a marginal career out of it. But I am not a marginal person. Like, whatever I do, I want to put all of myself into, and I want to be so great. So it was really gnawing at me, and I did not know what to do. Yeah. And then our other very good mutual friend, Luke Dillon, who was a manager at 3 Arts at the time. So I was kind of talking about how stuck I felt and I didn't know what I wanted to be. And in that same breath, well, I should back up. I married someone that I was an assistant with at the agency. And you know him well. And he
shout out Ryan.
And we were together when he got promoted to coordinator, when he got promoted to agent, when he got promoted to partner. And so I had the luxury of sitting front row to see that evolution and growth within the agency. And so I also had that gnawing at me that I never should have left the agency. I feel like I would have been a really good agent/representative. And so I was kind of commiserating about that, and I was feeling really confused and really lost, which is a horrible feeling. For someone so ambitious, that is the worst feeling that you can feel.
But I think that people who are ambitious feel that the most.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there are some people that are just complacent and, you know, so a testament to who you are.
Thanks. Yeah. So Luke asked me, have you ever thought about being a manager? Because we're representatives. We do some stuff that agents do. We have our clients. you still get to produce, which is what your skill set is in and what your background is in. So you don't have to totally abandon all the years that you've put in. And I thought, oh, that's so interesting. I haven't really worked with a lot of managers throughout my career, so I hadn't thought about that. And he shepherded me in, and I've been at 3 Arts for almost 10 years, and I love it so much.
God, it's been 10 years?
I know. Those COVID years, like, sucked time out of the equation.
They did. That was like 5 years went by in a flash. Wow, 10 years. Oh, my gosh, that's insane.
I know.
And you're loving it?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Every day is different.
Yeah.
Every client's different. At 3 Arts, we have a lot of autonomy, and the guys at the top really trust the people that they hire to do what they're there to do.
Yeah.
And so there's no complaining.
Let's talk a little bit about some of those differentiations in the industry, because I think people hear terms like manager, agent, publicist, and I think like if you're not working directly in the industry, you may not really understand. So tell us a little bit more about what are the functions of a manager and what are those responsibilities?
Our responsibilities are everything.
Yeah.
Like, we are the catch-all.
Yeah.
If the client doesn't have a publicist, we're the publicist. If the client doesn't have an agent, which is rare, we are the agent too. It's like every buck stops with us. But the best version of a manager is the way that I see myself with my clients is the CEO of their business, the CEO of their brand, the CEO of them and what they're putting out into the world. So that comes along with business development, that comes along with strategy, that comes along with day-to-day execution and oversight of the business. So we're really like a strategic partner, business partner.
Yeah. I mean, in my eyes, it's the manager. They're the ones in charge, right? Everything is funneled through the manager.
Yeah, I think like that's totally true. A lot gets funneled through us. I don't think that we're in charge. I just think that we're kind of like the captain of the ship steering everything.
Yeah, that's
because
great.
we are the ones that have the most connection and day-to-day contact with the client typically. And so we're across everything, right? So the way that the agencies are broken down, they're siloed into departments. So the television agent doesn't necessarily know what's going on the endorsement side, doesn't necessarily know what's going on the book side, et cetera, et cetera. But the managers are across everything. So we have the knowledge, which I think is why we're just naturally set up to be kind of the middleman.
Yeah, no, the captain of the ship, that makes a lot of sense. Over the last decade, as in this role, have there been certain moments or pinpoints where you've just almost surprised yourself, like had those aha moments, right? Like, wow, look at what I just did.
There have, and it's rooted in the fact that there's such a variety to what we do as managers. So I oversaw execution of a 68 city sold out live tour.
Wow.
And I had never done that. I had never been like boots on the ground for that before.
And touring is a whole
It's a beast.
It's a whole beast,
It's a beast.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from it. So now I feel like, oh yeah, I can do a live tour now.
Yeah.
A client of mine is very into like home design. She's incredibly gifted in the space. And it's her passion when she's not on screen or actually behind a desk, because she's a big businesswoman too. They said to me, I want to do a show like in the home design space. Like, can you figure it out, basically? I mean, she had ideas about like what that looked like. Yeah. And so I dreamt up this format for this show. And instead of attaching a production company, which typically is like what people will do, but because of my background in knowing how to formulate a show, having the knowledge of what networks or streamers would be looking to buy in that space, how to craft it toward the targets, et cetera, we just built that out without a production company, and then we took it and we sold it to a streamer without a production company, and we were able to plug a production company in after the sale, which retained more control for us, which was great, and the client was super happy. Yeah. Season 3 just premiered yesterday, and it's a total hit, and we love it. And so
amazing.
I feel like there are moments of success like that that feel really good and make me feel like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
But sometimes it takes looking back to realize those moments, right? Because I think sometimes when we're in it, it's like the freaking rat race, right? You're just go, 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 go. Because even when I asked you that question, right, it's like you kind of, you have to take a second. And it's like, because I know there are so many. Like, I've watched you, I've seen you, I know there's so many, right? It's like our brains are like, okay, what's the next thing? What am I doing tomorrow and next year and next month?
Totally.
Well, let's talk a little about how this industry has changed, right? I think, you and I both actually have like very similar. So I also took the LSAT and also was kind of dead set on going to law school, and then sort of chickened out because I got a job. Like it
worked out very well for you.
Yeah. But I think similarly, when I started Cultivated, it's like I was always battling with those two brains, the very creative brain and the very like analytical, do a deal. And I think our industry has molded, and so I think there's a lot more opportunity for people with those two minds, because you are those two minds as well. Even though you said you love the analytical stuff, I know you are creative. The methods and ways of how shows were sold, right, and how things were done have just shifted so much. So I'd love to have you give us a little insight on just, what have been those biggest changes that you've noticed, and where do you think we're going to kind of continue to change and shift?
The biggest change is the contraction of the networks and the streamers.
Yeah.
Because there used to be so many. They used to have their own identity.
Yeah.
You used to be able to come up with a show idea speaking specific to TV and go into 6 or 8 different targets and pitch, and you'd get a few offers. And now they've just kind of combined and contracted everything, and the executives are teams over like 3 or 4 outlets.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's ripped away the creativity a little bit, because the way that I see something is going to be different than the way you see something. And that's good to reflect the viewers at home, right? There's so many different perspectives.
Yeah.
But when you have such few people buying,
I know.
And with like the added complication of them being scared to lose their job for taking a risk because everybody's getting laid off, then we're left with not a lot of like creativity, risk taking. Obviously that leads to less sales, and so it's harder to get wins over the line.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, the risk taking, I think especially, right, because we came up in an era where that's why those reality shows you first started, right? It's like that didn't exist before, and people took risks both on the creative side but on the network side. And it feels like, everyone is operating a tiny bit in this space of, I don't want to overstep. I don't want to have too strong of an opinion because, I just need a job. I just need a gig. And that's hard. I'm an optimist, and I think that we're just in this weird, we're just in a really weird time, and so much has changed so rapidly, like COVID and the strikes, and then just all these layoffs. And I think the future is bright. I don't think it will ever look the same. It's going to look very different, but I do feel like it is bright.
I totally agree with you.
Well, and the rise of the creator too, right? Because I think that's, people have their own platforms, and they don't need a network. They don't need someone else's money. They just
100%.
do put out whatever they want.
And that's how I'm starting to look at this, to change the narrative, because what's stopping me from throwing something up on YouTube, proving that it's a good idea and that it works?
Right.
I've got the connections with the talent that have all the eyeballs that we could potentially route it through their social media or elsewhere, right? It doesn't even need to be a client, because I get to also work on behalf of ideas. And so, and one that we're working on right now together, that's like left field, right? And so I think that is definitely going to change it, because just like Pop the Balloon on YouTube, it was a big YouTube property. Netflix picked it up to bring it onto Netflix. That's starting to happen more and more with these pieces of IP. So I do think that the money will follow the eyeballs, whether it starts on social or, a digital platform of sorts, or you walk it into, Peacock and see if they want to buy the format.
Well, and the brand piece of it as well, right? Which we've talked extensively about, but the brands don't need to just give their money to Peacock or Netflix or whomever it is anymore, right? They can come to you and say, hey, we want to make something and we want X client to be the host of it or to lead it. It's an entirely different ball game now.
It is.
But it's exciting. I don't know. And I think that is where that freedom of creativity kind of comes back into play. I mean, of course, the brand, it's the brand's parameters now, right? It's their dollar, but I think that it just allows for more of that flexibility. There's less stats. There's less corporate,
Meddling.
taking all these, meddling. That's the perfect word for it.
Yeah. And you're an entrepreneur through and through. And I think that that's why you're optimistic. I think those of us who have an entrepreneurial spirit in mind see this as a challenge that we'll find a solution to and that we'll have fun finding a solution to. Yeah. And I think that if you don't have that, it's easy for what's going on to crush you and make you feel lost.
Yeah, I agree. So I know something that you and I feel very, very strongly about, and we've had small conversations, but I'd really love to have an honest, open, vulnerable conversation is motherhood and the pressure. And I think, many industries are loaded with pressure, but I think our industry, because of all these things that we just mentioned, layoffs everywhere, restructurings everywhere, way less things being greenlit, there's more pressure than ever to succeed and shift and mold and move. And I think, we both have 2 kids. Do people ask you, how do you do it all? And like, what is that answer? And let's dig into this a bit.
Well, there's no better human built for pressure than a mother.
Yeah.
So I always say, give it to a mother and she'll get it done, and she'll get it done fast, and she'll get it done well. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure, of course. Our kids keep us going. They're my inspiration. They're my source of joy. It's funny. I'm having a little bit of a renaissance in my own life with this. My daughter just turned 6 a couple weeks ago. My son's 2. And so I've been a mom for a little while. And when I first had my daughter, my identity and my purpose was my work. I come from a workaholic father that's been ingrained in me. By the way, an immigrant father who's a workaholic, so it's kind of like double layered of how my work ethic has been drilled into me. And I'm a woman. And so I always had to work so hard. And that was my focus forever. And when I got pregnant, I was so happy, but I immediately was like, I need to make sure that when I have this child, I don't slip at all so that nobody sees me as weaker, which is such a demented way to think in hindsight.
Yeah, sure.
It was all I knew at the time. And you too, I'm sure, because I know your work ethic is nuts.
Yeah.
And I was really focused on how I'm showing up at work. I mean, I was in a meeting 7 days after being out of the hospital with a client at an agency, and I'm like, why did I do that? It's so silly in hindsight, but it meant everything to me at the time. Getting really personal, I suffered postpartum depression with my daughter, and I 100% with my heart of hearts believe it was because I had that mentality. Yeah. I felt like I had to stretch to do it all. I felt like I was under so much pressure to take care of this new human being that I had never experienced before and literally keep her alive while also showing up for my clients and showing up in the office and just being there. And I felt like the pressure broke me for sure. And I tell this to all women who are going to have a baby, like, it's okay. The work will be there. The clients will be there. The job will be there. Like, please focus on your child, not only for the bonding and whatever, but also for your body. You have to heal. Your hormones are going nuts. So there's so much more at play that I ignored. I just compartmentalize everything. I'm a compartmentalizer.
Same.
And it's so unhealthy. Sometimes it's good and it's bad sometimes. Yeah. I feel almost like it's my new purpose to just help the women who are going to have children. Yeah. Be easy on yourself during that time. It's all okay. Yeah. And then I had that mentality with my son afterward, and I didn't have postpartum depression. So it's just another notch in my hypothesis of this. Yeah. But going back to kind of where I'm coming out the other end now, I guess I just am settled and I'm a little bit calmer. Everything is going to be there. Everything's fine. Maybe it's because I have been doing this now for 6 years and I haven't slipped and I keep building, and so I feel good about it. But having kids makes you, I believe, better at your job if you like your job. Yeah. Because you're more efficient. You don't lollygag. You have, little people that you now provide for besides yourself. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm starting to rest in my new world of being a working mom.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I can my first was born on a Friday and I was back Monday.
I'm not surprised.
And then my second was born on a Wednesday and I was back Monday. And I was literally having a conversation about this earlier about, do you want to have a third, right? And that's the one thing that's in my mind is like, I have to be able to take time, right? Like I can't do that again. And it was wonderful and joyous. It was also COVID.
Yeah.
So it was a bit more relaxed, right? Everyone was working from home. And so I know it was different. And so I think about now and I'm like, wow, that's really hard that's the one thing that's sort of keeping me from having another one is this thought like I don't have the ability. Everyone else I would work overtime to make sure anyone and everyone here, right? But it's me, it's my mentality.
Yeah.
And I think similarly, like, my dad was an entrepreneur and work and instilled that in me. And I had lost my mom when I was young. It just like, you're just this workhorse. It's a gentle dance. It will always be a gentle dance. But I think there's no such thing as being the perfect anything on any given day, right? And I think grace, maybe giving yourself grace, I think is sort of what this renaissance that you've had, right? It's like all right, it's going to be okay,
And like we really have to, my husband and I just went on a vacation for the first time in 6 years.
Just the two of you?
Just the two of us last month.
Amazing. Good for you
And the
guys.
last vacation we went on was the baby moon with my daughter. First child. And it's because we were working. How are we going to get away? We have so much to do. We have people that count on us. We have to do this and that and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then we got away. We went away for like a week and a half and we really unplugged from work for the first time. Even on the baby moon, we were working. So this was really something different. And we both came back so recharged, so creative, so inspired. Yeah. And I was like, this is what you have to do. But you know what? I turned 40 and health became a huge focus. Yeah. And I think that's what it comes down to. I think you start having health gnaw at you and health slow you down. If you're not slowing yourself down, health will. Yeah. And I don't want to get to that point where health slows me down. Yeah. I mean, I've been having this total internal struggle for like a year over this. But I feel so good now that I've started like letting go a little bit.
Yeah. I think that's what it's about. It's letting go.
It is.
And like having conversations with your mind instead of, I have to do this, I have to do this. It's just sort of, that can wait, which like feels in my mind like procrastination. Yeah. Right? I'm not a procrastinator. I'm the kind of person where if it's in my inbox, I'm getting to it right now because like who knows what tomorrow will bring. Right. But at the same time, who knows what tomorrow will bring. Right. Also, what I've tried to be very intentional about too is being present, right? When you're with your kids, being present. Because I would find myself just, if the kids are playing and I'm just like doing, every time doing work emails. And then I'm like, oh my God, am I that parent that is just, and then, so now it's like, and don't get me wrong, sure, like, but really having dedicated moments where it's like the phone is down and away. Yep. And do you also feel like during COVID, this sort of pressure to be available all the time really rose as well?
Oh, and it bled into regular world since COVID's been over. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And it actually really bugs me. And people can get a hold of you so many different ways now, through the office, through the cell, through text, DM, voice notes is like a whole thing I could go on a tangent about. I can't do it. That is also something where it kind of broke me. There was no unplugging whatsoever. Space. There was no space. And I started suffocating. And I was like, I have to draw my own boundaries. I have to. Yeah.
Well, and it's in the immediacy, right? It's like I'll find if someone texts me and I miss their text, like if you were to send me a message and then like tomorrow I'm going through unreads, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like and then I'm like, I don't need to be sorry.
No, you
I'm
don't.
Getting back
you
to
don't.
her like, within a day. Yeah. But there's that around it too, right? Where if you're not immediately available to everyone all the time, and that really is exhausting. Like it really is. So I think like advice and I think like for the younger generation too, I think about, what is that going to look like for them? Right? Like because they're
like the generation of boundaries. So
That is true. Yeah. Which I respect very much. But I think also that the connection though, right? Like they don't know a world that you're not connected all the time. Right. What advice would you give to people who are parents or want to be parents that work in this entertainment industry of ours?
Don't wait, because our job is so all-encompassing, And I remember thinking like, oh, I can't have a baby right now. I'm on the precipice of a promotion, or I can't do a baby right now. It's too busy, blah, blah, blah. And I had my children older. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, that's so silly. Why did I wait? You know, it's like there's never going to be the right time. And I guess that's such general advice for anyone, regardless of what industry you work in or whether you work at all. But I think that would be it. And then draw boundaries with the postpartum. The 4th trimester is like the most important, I think.
It is, yeah.
And just like be easy on yourself, give yourself grace, to use your words. Yeah.
Do you think that there's things you've learned from being a mother that you've applied into your work with your clients?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, maybe the whole reason I'm going through this renaissance is because I am a mother, because I historically have been such a control freak, and kids teach you that you're not in control.
Can't control anything. You're like, okay, great, yes, go for it.
And I think I relinquished some control. I think that really bled into my work life. And also just like efficiency, and like it's just not the end of the world. Like if a client's having a tantrum, they'll get over it. It's fine. You know, we just find a solution. Yeah. And if my 2-year-old's having a tantrum, it's fine. He'll get over it. We'll find a solution.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've learned is not that my fuse is shorter, right? Because I think actually it's probably a lot longer being a parent. But I think just the time for bullshit, right? I think like I really do have this like life is too short for assholes kind of mentality.
100%.
And it's like, okay, I'm spending time worrying about you and your things, and you're treating me like shit, or you're just an asshole, when like I could be spending this time with, right? It's like a filter that I look through everything with.
100%. And it's so valuable. Yeah. I used to represent the worst of the worst. I've represented like really heinous human beings, truly. But what else was I going to do? You know what I mean? And I don't even apologize for saying that, because they were assholes. Yeah. And were horrible and like abusive. And now I don't do that. I won't do it. Because I don't have the capacity for the mistreatment or the abuse or the bullshit at all, just like you said. Yeah. And by the way, I was always so scared of letting go, but it's like my job's amazing. My clients are amazing. I love my clients. They bring me so much joy, inspiration. I learn so much from them. Like I am happy to wake up in the morning and go to work. And my job is to stand behind the scenes and do everything in my power to make them even greater than they already are. And if you don't like that person, how can you do that?
No, you can't. Yeah, you can't. It's interesting you say joy, because that's one of the questions I ask every guest. Like, how are you cultivating joy in your life right now, in this moment?
I can't believe I'm saying this, but boundaries. Like really, like making time for me. I think I'm also, with my son being 2, I think I'm just now kind of coming out of the fog to have a little bit of slivers of time for myself. Yeah. I'm spending, an hour working out a few times a week, whereas I haven't really been able to do that consistently. And that clears my mind for work. And it also, like, fitness is so important for your mind more than your body. Yeah. Like, when I finish working out in the morning before work, I have an athlete's mentality, like, let's go, like, let's go get this done, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. So the thing that's bringing me joy right now, aside from my family, of course, is creating space for me to do things that I like. Haven't done that in years.
For me, one of the things I'm trying to focus on too is friendships. I think that's also one of those things when you become a mother, and especially in those first 2-3 years. Yeah. I think it's hard. It's hard to really put time into those relationships. But again, it's okay. And if someone else is a mother, I think they tend to understand. Yeah. But I'm kind of also just coming out of the fog a little and being like, oh wow, like we used to hang out all the time, and I fucking miss you. Yeah. And let's do it again. Like that fun, that sort of girlfriends. I think. And
it's about like quality over quantity
100%.
to me now.
Yeah.
Because we do have to be so intentional with our time.
You do. Well, exactly. I think when you're in your 20s, nothing but time, you're hanging out with everyone under the sun. You hit your 30s, that, gets a little bit smaller. And then I think, you get to 40s, especially when you have a family, and it's like, all right, these are my OGs. These are the people that my ride or dies.
And I love the OGs, but I love the mom friends too.
Yeah.
I love the mom friends.
Yeah.
It's a different connection, and it's fun to see the kids. Like, I love hanging out socially with my kids' friends who I'm fortunate enough to be friends with their parents.
Yeah. And seeing them play.
Yeah.
And it's a different kind of relationship, and it's a very open and honest one, because I feel like your kids are when you're most vulnerable. You're your most realist self, right?
Yeah.
Like they test you in ways that, even the most difficult of clients
Yeah.
can't.
It's so true. And you know what? We need the mom friends as working moms, because one of my closest friends is a stay-at-home mom, which is a much harder job than what we have. But she has more time to focus on the kids and what the kids want to do. And I'm over here just like in my office working all day, and she'll text me like, we should take the girls to Disneyland, or we should take the girls to New York and take them to see the Rockettes because that was their dance recital song, and da-da-da. I'm like, thank God for you, because I don't have the space in my mind to come up with these fun core memories. So mom friends are...
Yeah,
I'm into them.
They are. I love it. Is there anything coming up in your personal life or your career or with your clients in the next few months that you can share that you're really excited about that's coming up next?
Well, Honest Renovations, which I executive produce, is streaming on Roku, season 3 yesterday. You can find it on the RokuChannel.com or just the app, the Roku channel. It's free, which is exciting, not another subscription to pay for. I represent Tinks, who I adore, and I represent the foster sisters, who I also adore. They're all so talented, and we recently brokered a deal for the fosters to option Tinks's most recent book, her first novel, Hotter in the Hamptons.
Cool.
And so we're developing that out. And it's been really fun. Although earlier I said I wasn't super interested historically in scripted.
Yeah.
It's been a really fun learning experience. And I've got 2 great partners on it at 3 Arts.
Yeah.
And they're navigating and kind of showing me the way. And it's just fun. I'm such a student. Like, I love learning new things.
Yeah.
So this is bringing me joy. And I think it's a really fun project. If you haven't read the book, I'll get it for you. It's a really, really fun, quick read. And I'm really excited about that. I think it's got like such a great shot of selling. And I think we need a show like that right now. And it's good.
I love what you said about being a student and always learning, because I think that's also something that like we have to hit on in this conversation is there's always something to learn, right? Whether it's from the biggest executives or the intern, like coming in.
Totally.
I'm excited for you in the scripted world. It's also a world that like we've dabbled a little bit into it, but it's this part of, this vision that I see in, 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is, like, maybe doing more of that because, for me, it's fresh. It's different. It's like using a part of my brain that doesn't get to be used all the time.
Yeah,
so,
which is different.
Is really nice.
And I guess the other thing I'm excited about, which is the intention is to apply it to work. I don't know how to do that yet, but I'm starting a certification course at MIT next week for AI. Application to business. I'm all in on AI.
Yes.
Like, I cannot tell you. I am so not scared of it. I know,
No, I feel the same. Like we have to learn how to do it. Yeah.
And
interesting.
So that I'm really, really, really excited to learn more and like figure it out and apply it to business, apply it to the clients, apply it to everything day to day.
Well, Dunia, thank you so much for joining me on the show. I adore you, and I'm so grateful that I've known you all these years, and I'm excited for all the things that we will do together in the coming months and years. And I'm proud of you, and thank you for being so honest and vulnerable. I think it's important for people, you see the shiny photos on social media, but it's like, we all have real lives and real struggles and real shit that we deal with every day. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. I adore you. I love that you're doing this. It's awesome.
Thank you.
It's really important.
And thank you everyone for listening to another episode of Cultivated Conversations. We want to hear from you, so please send us an email at sayhi@cultivatedent.com, and you can follow us on our socials at Cultivated Entertainment, or you can follow me at Jen Prock. Until next time.